I'm Tristan, and this is Thinking About Politics. So today, we're still thinking about the terrible events unfolding in Ukraine and the monstrous aggression of the Putin regime. We're all hoping for a speedy end to this conflict, but until then, it's important that we stay informed about what's going on. This is a new age of information warfare. Most Americans out there are getting their news on things like Twitter, Facebook, through social media, and not really understanding how to vet their sources. Understandably, there's like a need to find those reliable places where you can inform your worldview. So we went ahead and put together 5 English language sources on the Ukraine conflict that we've found tremendously helpful. We'll phrase this as like sort of a top 5, but you shouldn't rely on any one source. You should always use a variety of sources and really read carefully. It's always important to try to examine the potential biases of the person telling you a news item or telling you a fact. And it's important to think about things like, hey, is this person like anonymous? Do I know who this person is? Can I check their sources? Am I able to go and figure out this information for myself through publicly available information? What's their expertise in this area? Is there other evidence out there that kind of backs up what this person's saying? So if that sort of thing sounds like a good time, why don't you give us a like, a share, or a subscribe? That's mighty nice, and it helps us out. But here we go. 5 news sources that we've relied on anyway to get more information on the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. Number 5, Al Jazeera. So this one was a little bit of a toss-up for me. I kept going back and forth between like the BBC and France 24. France 24 is the French English language 24 news network. Finally, I had to go with Al Jazeera, if only because they've had some editorial content that I found kind of challenging. And I know that's kind of cheating because this is supposed to be informational sources, and here I am going immediately to deciding this one on editorial content. But, not that I agree with a lot of the content, but it's important to read stuff that challenges what you believe. I think this was they tried to give they tried to steel man up the Russian argument for the invasion. And while I still disagree, I think it's an important, intellectual exercise to keep you honest. BBC has also had some great live footage. France 24 has had some live footage. These are the 3 big, international news networks, I think a lot of people know of. Check them out. Make sure you're not just swimming around in U.S. media all the time. Number 4, good times, bad times. All right, so this one's number 4, and it has a lot of red flags that should make this an unreliable source, right? First off, this is a YouTube channel. I don't really know who this person is. So, hey, what's going on here? Why is this one on the list? Well, I found this channel in the first week of the conflict. It turns out that their channel normally focuses on things like international relations, economics, in both Polish and English, and has been following, Russian-Ukrainian relations for a long time on their channel. So there's some sort of at least interest in it. Okay. But that first week of the attack, this channel released daily updates with a lot of raw footage that was coming out of Ukraine. It seems like this person's situated in Poland. And the content was so detailed and thorough, and everything on this person's channel I would see echoed in the news about 18 hours later. This person seemed to be ahead of the curve, so it's the information that kept getting pumped out kept getting corroborated other places. And originally this channel was number 5 on the list. But then while I was making this video, I saw another post by this person about Russian trucks, civilian trucks, being trucked to the front line with those Z's on them on rail beds. And I hadn't heard that anyplace else, so I just thought to myself, I wonder if that's real or not. And then I saw it echoed on some of the other sources that we're going to discuss on this list. So yeah, at least for the first week of content, this guy is worth the watch. So far, what he's been posting has withstood scrutiny. You always want to make sure you're not relying on a single source, so I wouldn't rely on this channel alone for your news, but certainly a very unique and ground level view of what's happening. Number 3, TLDR news. TLDR News is an independent news outfit based out of the UK. TLDR stands for Too Long Didn't Read. It says on the internet. I don't know. Go look it up. But I've been watching their videos for a number of years now. They have 5 news channels. TLDR News EU has been covering the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. And they have had some amazingly well-researched videos with great emphasis on graphics and easy-to-understand plot lines, showing, like, you know, what's happened to the Russian economy, the build-up to the war. Before the invasion, they had certainly had some very thoughtful pieces about, you know, Russia's engagement with NATO expansion, and after the invasion, they were, you know, also very good at calling out the disinformation and pointing out how exactly sanctions against Russia would damage the economy. We've used them a number of times on this channel, and if you're watching us, we've told you a couple times, go check them out. Go check them out. They're really good. TLDR News, another YouTube channel, I know, but again, you're not relying on a single source here. I think they're a very fun and engaging way to sort of get a quick overview of very complicated topics. Number 2, CNN. All right. I don't like putting it on this list either, and I certainly don't like putting it this high. Cable News Network, Inc. is a subsidiary of Warner Media. They started broadcasting in 1980, and they haven't shut up since. You know, I have a big old chip on my shoulder about CNN. I think it's highly dubious whether or not CNN has provided a net gain to society in their 24-hour news coverage, but they do war. From the Gulf War, to the Iraq War, to this war, they do war. They have the resources to get into places that other people can't, and they just have an army of willing and able reporters who just want to get on the scene and strap on the vest and get on the camera. You know, look, you know who CNN is. Everyone knows who CNN is. The fact is that they are places other people aren't. Yeah, I really don't like how all of their anchors have to be like celebrities too. I hate the fact that, like, when I'm watching their reporters on the scene, it's like they're in an action movie or something. The way they film violence, I think, glorifies it even to a touch. But the fact of the matter is that they have that footage and they show it. So, yeah, for the bare news, CNN, you get number 2. For the analysis, you're kind of hit or miss, but whatever. All right. And our number 1 news source, the one that we think has had the best coverage of Ukraine, at least in the English language so far, is DW News. I'm willing to bet a lot of people haven't heard of DW News. It's relatively young compared to CNN and, you know, other 24/7 news networks. DW News is a product of the German public broadcasting network called Deutsche Welle. It launched on June 22nd, 2015, and it aims to establish a German counterpart to international news networks like BBC, France 24, and Al Jazeera. It's generally transmitted on satellite, but you can also get it on YouTube. It has a fairly active YouTube presence. They're a lot closer to Ukraine, based out of Germany, and so it's easier for them to get on the ground. They have had some really gut-wrenching footage of the civilian toll of this war, the cost, the catastrophic effects of Russian bombardments, and they've also had rock-solid analysis, both of, you know, the German political moves in terms of switching their stance on providing arms and funding their military, but also on NATO involvement and about, you know, folks really debating the question of, you know, if NATO's already involved, should NATO get more involved? Are we going to get dragged into this conflict anyway? So for me, you should never, ever, ever trust one source. But if there's one source on this list you're going to, like, go and try to discover for this conflict, go find DW News and check it out. So yeah, for my money, DW News is where you want to go for your Ukraine coverage first. Then fill it in with all these other sources. Anyway, that's it for me. You've been great. Hope to see you again next time. But until then,
I ain't got time to kiss you now. I'm busy with this music.